Hello, everyone, and welcome into crushthestreet.com. I got a very interesting guest on the line with me today. You know, I'm a mining superstar, if you will. This is a time when I really want to be spotlighting gold. 2019, I believe, will be a pivotal year for the precious metals sector, a turning point. We're already starting to see gold start to pick up here. As we ended 2018, going into 2019, gold is starting to take a foothold. And for those prepared and those willing to dive in before we start to see some really material moves, I think there's going to be a huge payoff. So I like to have these interviews at timely times, not after the fact, but before the fact. And unfortunately, not many people want to talk about gold right now because we're not seeing, astronomically high prices. Of course, when we are seeing $2,000, $3,000 gold, everyone will be talking about it. But arithmetically, now is the time to be prudent and to be discussing this. And so I have on the line Eric Saderholm. He's a former Newmont ex-geologist. He was the head of exploration, head of the exploration manager for the Western U.S., and he's been an integral geologist in discovering 6.7 million ounces of mineral reserves. He's been such a rock star, and he's identified a really pertinent project with American Pacific Mining. He's now the president of this company. He left Newmont to take on this project because he believes in the potential of this company. And I actually wrote a special report for American Pacific at crushthestreet.com/AP that I highly recommend people check out. But without any further ado, President of American Pacific Mining, Eric Saderholm, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me on.
Eric, let's start off with the precious metal sector. As I am doing this right now, we're hovering right around $1,300 gold. I believe 2019 to be a very strategic time for precious metals. What are your thoughts on this in the current environment as it pertains to investing and taking a position in gold here in 2019?
Well, I believe, of course, being somewhat optimistic, being an exploration geologist, that gold does have some legs now. I think probably the point where it's going to find a lot of stability, probably 1350, 1375 seems to be, that's when I think people will start to jump on. As you just alluded, there'll be a lag time of people saying, well, it's just not going to go high. Once it starts to make a move, people will jump in not only to the metal, but into the sector. The sector itself right now has what I think are a lot of undervalued small companies, probably some overvalued as well. Won't go into the names, but they're based here in Nevada, and I know several people that work on them. Companies like ours trading at 25 cents and with a market cap of, say, 10 million, 11 million, will start to look pretty attractive as gold moves up, I believe, anyways. So I think that their gold has two things going for it right now. One, it's still the traditional store of wealth. It's the only monetary instrument that's not going to go to zero. And another thing that's going for it now is the decline in production, which is bound to occur in the next 10 years. I'm speaking on behalf of Newmont, and I think I'm probably speaking on behalf of the world. As we've mined some of these pits to almost extinction, they're gigantic, they're deep. It's hard to get a valuable ounce out or an economic ounce out of these pits. So the next wave, I believe, of companies that are going to come in and actually make money for shareholders are going to be the smaller companies that are willing to mine 250 to 500,000 ounces versus the colossal giant mentality of, say, the big companies, 10 million, 15 million. You're going to have low overhead in these companies. You're going to have commitment, and you're also going to have easy to permit. These deposits are sitting out there, I think, right now. We're in the process of evaluating two more at the moment. So in addition to Tuscarora, we're trying to pad the portfolio with what we think are quality projects. Tuscarora itself, excellent project. Grade is king, and Tuscarora does have some seriously good grades.
Yeah, Tuscarora, the flagship project for American Pacific. Let's kind of go that direction here. You, combined with the CEO of the company, Warwick Smith, own 20% of American Pacific Mining, and that's quite the endorsement and really, where your interests are aligned. You want this company to obviously succeed, and it's based on largely this project. I mean, you left Newmont for this opportunity. So could you start there? I mean, you left Newmont for this project, for this company. Why?
Several reasons. Newmont treated me well, so I can't badmouth them. I had plenty of opportunities over the 15 years, two separate tranches. I worked there started there in 1994. So I had a lot of opportunities to work international, got a lot of management abilities, a lot of exploration potentials and properties that I could work on. So I left that because I believe in this sector, for one. As I just alluded to, I believe that right now the niche is going to be a smaller company that can be profitable, actually can be a 10 bagger, be a 20 bagger, make money for investors while moving a valuable asset into mining potential, which could mean merging with someone or getting a JV partner on to help with the further evaluation of it. Believe in the project a lot because I have worked in there in the past and I have seen some of the data, and I just believe it's a little bit underexplored. The veins are high grade, they're hidden under a thin gravel, so you can't see them from the surface. You have to kind of do your geological homework. So it's intriguing, it's challenging, and it's a fun project to work on. I also like the team. I've worked with Warwick Smith for 10 years on and off. We started a company in 2009. And I believe in him as a co-worker who has the skills I don't possess, and I'm the same. I have skills he doesn't possess. So I think we make a pretty good team, tight team at the moment, very small company, hoping to grow with this project and with further properties that we put into the portfolio. So it was twofold why I left. It mainly was just I like the junior market. I like that it's a bit of a thrill to it, but there's also a challenge, and you have to wear a lot of hats. You got to be the permitter, you got to be the geologist, you got to be the logger, you got to do a lot of things, which I like to do. I like to multitask, and that's the reason I jumped.
So Eric, there was quite the deal that was made on this Tuscarora project when American Pacific originally acquired it. So talk about the deal that was originally made, where it is now, and what it could potentially be based on some very close comparables that we're actually seeing in the market. Because from the research I've done, it's quite the opportunity.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Right now, it's potentially a very undervalued share, so it's a good place probably to put a little of your money in, especially if you believe in the gold sector and you believe in the junior market, or the resurgence in the junior market, I should say. The deal was done with Novo, and it was done last year. They had the asset. They, of course, moved to Australia, and their share price skyrocketed with their success there. So it languished there. They didn't have a budget for it. I knew Mr. Quentin Hennig. I've known him for many years, and he was the project guy's the CEO, but he was the project geologist there for Newcrest, so he knew about it. We got a great deal on it, 375,000 Canadian and 800,000 shares. So they have every incentive for us to succeed as well, because they're pretty good shareholders as well. We got this project. It came unencumbered, really, for the most part, easy to permit. We got our permit in 8 days. We're in a mining-friendly area, so we were exploring there almost immediately after the purchase. So it's been a really good deal for us, and I think that if this ever turns into anything like a Fire Creek, which is the comparable that you compare it to, you have a lot of upside in the share price for sure if it's ever becomes something like that. I think they sold to Hecla for $420 million. The deposit type's very similar, high grade gold veins, so there is that similarity right there. Whether or not it's going to be 420, of course, nobody will ever know. But it's going to be, I believe it's a good place to put a little bit of your money in this sector, not just American Pacific.
Sure. I mean, and the company right now, as you said, is trading at a $10 million Canadian market cap, the entire American Pacific company, and we have a project, a comparable project to the Tuscarora that sold for $420 million. So that's 40 times where we are today, which is very interesting. So what would it take for it to even be close to that sort of sale? Like, what would need to happen between now and an agreement between a major for this project to be sold and for that to sort of play out?
Oh, it would be kind of a multi-tiered thing. Obviously, exploration would need to continue. More drilling would have to be done. The one vein that we concentrated on last year, the South Navajo vein, had been discovered prior to us getting there. We have now evidence of several more of these systems that look like they're a parallel. So taking some exploration money and proving up the concept that these things are a parallel set of veins, not just one or not just two, but up to 10 possibly. That would be the initial igniter. Because I think right then a company such as, there are several companies out there that specialize in this type of mining, would see that as attractive and pick it up on the way up rather than letting it go to full valuation. So you'd wind up somewhere between 25 cents and $1.25 probably. Somebody would probably pick it up. That might be the impetus to come get it.
So Eric, this Fire Creek sold at what? When did it sell? It's sometime in 2018.
2018, I believe, year and a half ago.
And that was when gold prices were pretty depressed. So if we see gold do what we think it can do, I mean, in theory, I mean, we can speculate that valuation should be significantly higher for a project like the Tuscarora project in the event of a sale.
Yeah, I would think that if all of a sudden you had gold at 1,400, your premium on top of a sale price would reflect that additional $100 or $150 that it's raised in the last year and a half since the sale to Hecla of Fire Creek. So yeah, there's always that potential.
So are you seeing anything in the mining sector that is indicative that there's a sea change that is happening? There's positive momentum pouring into precious metals, based on your history, your extensive history in the resource sector, that would indicate that we're shifting, we're moving towards a bull market in precious metals and in the resource sector.
Yeah. What I'm seeing right now, and it's happening right here in our community, is a series of mergers. We have a JV going on right now between Barrick and Newmont, as Newmont's kind of getting rid of their American assets. Really, they're becoming more of an international company as they merge with Goldcorp. And so I'm actually very pleased with that. It opens up a lot of niches for us. But what I'm seeing is the continued merger of larger companies, because that's just the logical way to move. So what happens then is you wind up with companies getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually they start to lose their ability to replace reserves, and so they start to fail. And within 10 years, it looks like down the road we're going to have probably a reduction of probably 50% of the ounces produced worldwide. That's quite a substantial drop from, say, 70 million to 35, 40 million ounces. So.
Wow. So I know we can't do any price predictions on gold, but a lot of people are worried gold's going back to $1,000. Investors have been tossed and turned up and down with gold over the last couple of years. In 2016, we saw some light at the end of the tunnel with gold going over 1,350, and then it crashed back down once again in 2017, and here we are once again at 1,300. I mean, are you optimistic we'll start to see, really a breakout above 1,350 into 1,400 and gold to really start to get some legs here?
Yeah, I do, and there's a new impetus behind my theory, anyways, and that's essentially that gold is becoming more of a supply and demand metal rather than just a storage of wealth and value. It used to be the one commodity that you couldn't go down to zero, whereas a dollar bill could go to zero. Now, with production worldwide going down, I see support in two ways. Obviously, the traditional way of storage of wealth, and now supply and demand. So as gold production goes down, I think the price will reflect that and go up. So a new dynamic will be added to it. I see gold this year. I'm going to wing it. I believe it's moving up slowly, which is sort of what you want to see. These gigantic leaps and precipitous falls do nothing really for the market except screw up the junior market especially. So 1375 to 1400, if it gets to that level, I think it's got legs to really move vastly higher in a pretty nice trajectory.
Well, we know that the mining sector is an asymmetric trade to the moves that we see in precious metals. And so if people want, and there's a lot of investors here at Crush the Street, if people are interested in partnering with you and purchasing shares of the company, please let them know the tickers, where they can go to purchase and partner with you on this very exciting endeavor.
Well, in the United States, it's OTC, so our ticker is USGDF, and that's how you can purchase our shares in the United States. In Canada, it's on the CSE, Canadian Stock Exchange, and it's USGD. Those are the two tickers that you can trade.
Very good. And we'll have the special report in the description area that we wrote about the company. If anyone wants to read our report on this a very exciting company, you can visit crushthestreet.com/AP, and it'll be updated with the details, especially as the company continues to deliver news on the project and what is going on. So Eric Saderholm, Eric, thanks for coming on Crush the Street with me today.
Appreciate you having me on. Have a good day.